Oh boy, so that HAZBIN Hotel video, huh? That really got out of control. I so appreciate all of you for joining us and for being a part of the channel and for finding us through HAZBIN Hotel. I had no intentions whenever I made the video on that one for it to go anywhere that it did, but I'm thankful that you have all picked it up and shared it and commented on it and subscribed to the channel and found out more about Checkpoint Church and the things going on here. I'm actually on vacation this past week, and so rather than our usual nerdy sermon, I thought it might be a fun idea because at the beginning, I was trying to respond to all of your comments, but God bless you. I am a person that works a normal work week and I could not respond to everybody. So rather than respond to every single comment individually, I decided this past Tuesday night for our Tuesday night stream over on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch, I would tackle some of them. I took the hour, tackled as many as I could, and I sent this over to our editor to do with as they pleased with their editing magic. And hopefully this tackles some of the things in the comments section. So I hope that you enjoy this video. It's a bit different than what we normally do. Answering questions and responding to your comments is something that is a bit experimental, but I hope that you are able to enjoy it nonetheless. So folks, welcome to Checkpoint Church, where nerds, geeks, and gamers come together to talk about faith, games, and answering your comments. I am your nerd pastor, Nate. If you like this, be sure to hit that sub, hit that bell, and find out when our next one of these drops. Enjoy what Past Nathan has to say. If you don't know what we're talking about, this is the HAZBIN Hotel video that has gone mega viral, considering that Charlie is literally trying to rehabilitate hell and bring about redemption for the broken. That sure lines up more with a God that loves and one that doesn't condemn. We've almost reached 200,000 views, which is just simply insane. Odds are, if you're here right now, there's like a 1 in 2 chance that you probably found us through this video, or you found us through the popularity of this video, kind of escalating us up the heights of everything. Feel free to weigh in the comments. So obviously the main motif of the video is addressed with this first one, and it's the one that I pinned right at the very beginning because I thought it summed it up pretty well. This is Flying Monkey, who says, as an agnostic atheist who kind of bounces back and forth between, who grew up in the Southern Bible Belt, glad to hear someone in a pastoral position point how a lot of modern Christians condemn for the sake of condemning people. Part of the many reasons I stopped being a believer. This was one of the big arguments of this one, obviously. Christians saw HAZBIN Hotel and pretty swiftly threw the baby out with the bathwater and refused to respond to it. And I thought that was terribly unfair. And then, of course, there's also the whole character of Adam and of heaven within HAZBIN Hotel, who are very much judgmental and are throwing people out as well. So they send a hodgepodge of angels and the cringe lord that is Adam, the first man.
I'm Adam. I'm the man, and you're just some clown or something.
Down to slaughter them for a final death once a year. So not only did we have like a lived example of people were throwing out this show, but also the characters in the show were trying to throw away the denizens of hell. And so this was an important thing I thought to bring up, and obviously something that I felt was worthy of being pinned. One of the things that we kept seeing throughout this comment section, a lot of people put this kind of sentiment that you're going to see here, right? I'm Christian. I love HAZBIN too. Refreshing to see a preacher that actually enjoys the show, which I appreciate those affirmations. This was an interesting one here from Neo-Libertarian. My grandmother had a saying, pride in your piety is still pride. And I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. As a Methodist, it's something that is a little bit of a struggle for me. I think that piety is still something to be striven for. It's something we should be striving for in our pursuit of perfection. That's kind of a Wesleyan concept. Now, John Wesley had this great sentiment in which there is no holiness, so there is no piety that is not social holiness. And so that is a major component of our tradition and of our faith expression, is that if we cut off people, if we cut off the social elements of other human beings, then we are not doing anything holy at all. And so in an essence here, Neo-Libertarian is kind of highlighting that point, right? If we have pride in our piety, pride often kind of secludes, it lifts up, it puffs up, takes us above other people, and takes the social element out of things. So I think that they're getting at something here. Royal Professor's backing me up in the amen corner there. So I do think that's an important thing for us to remember, and a great point to be made here. Is that if we want to pursue holy living, and we say that we do, then we must do it within the social realm that we are within. That's why I have such a problem with Christians pulling out from nerd culture, because they are completely separating themselves from a real life group of people that very much exist and are worthy of our time and focus and our attention, and also deserve the message to be lifted up into a place of holiness. Good stuff. Midnight Navigator, let's see. As an agnostic atheist, I do really respect Christians who are capable of recognizing a lot of the hypocrisy of other Christians or churches and really believe the message over the little written rules and don't think they are the judge because they are preaching. I think that is one of my favorite aspects of our tradition as well. We are not a congregational denomination, and instead we have systems, we have powers, we have structures, we have things that exist. And I think often that leads to the preacher understanding themselves as not the one that is in charge, nor are we the ones that are the judge and arbiter of things. We are an itinerant system, and what that means is that a pastor can be called to move to another church at any point in time by the bishop and the people that help make those decisions. But the way that works, and the reason that works, the intention behind that system is more deep than this, but to be a bit reductive, it is because our congregations are supposed to be capable of being lay-led. The pastor can go from church to church and provide order. They can order the life of the church, but the pastor should not be the church. And so if the pastor is the church, that's a part of the problem. And I think often we have these kind of cult of personalities that pops up in the church structure, and that's where things get dangerous. So if you have people that are not willing to seriously wrestle with the church, what are you doing? You got to be willing to wrestle with it because the church is meant to be wrestled with to be made better. And that will sometimes take a little bit of effort. We are doing this because we're providing order for the life of the church. We are not the church. And that is an important thing for Checkpoint, especially. This is intentional with our structure here at Checkpoint. As I was planting Checkpoint, it was very important that I have two distinct things going on here. I needed to make sure that we had Checkpoint Church and that we had Nerd Pastor Nate, because I was all too aware of the parasocial relationships that form online. And so rather than people calling me Checkpoint or me Check or any of those sorts of things, I wanted to make sure that Nerd Pastor Nate was a character, was a parasocial relationship you could have, and that Checkpoint was something distinctly different. We're a community, we're a thing, and they have to be distinct because we want to make sure that we are laying a foundation that avoids this possibility happening. Inc. does a thing. As an atheist who grew up with intense Bible thumpers that use their religion for hatred, thank you. This was such a refreshing watch. It's so frustrating to me just how true that is, and just I've never been a Bible thumper. I've never been the type that preaches hatred from the pulpit. I don't understand how anyone can read the words of Jesus and do that. It just doesn't make sense to me. I can't put two and two together in any logical way that would result in preaching a gospel of hatred. It is just so obviously apparent that that is unhealthy and that is simply not the way that Jesus ministered. I am sorry, Inc. does a thing, that you grew up with that. I hope that you are able to process through that trauma, whether that results in any change in your religious beliefs or able to decouple that experience with Jesus who loves you. And it makes me glad that Inc. does a thing and folks like that grew up with that kind of message, heard a pastor, an ordained elder in a denomination in the Protestant church say that God loves you, we love you, you matter. The fact that they were able to hear that, this video is a win just from that alone. Curtis 741, as a Catholic, I think the show tries to be respectful to Christians and their beliefs, at least as much as possible for a show about Lucifer's daughter in hell. It's not a commentary on the church, but an allegory for humanity. The angels represent us. We refuse to forgive people, believing they don't deserve it for their sins against us. But the truth is, we are just as flawed as everyone else, and it only hurts everyone to continue to harbor resentment. That is what the show is about. Plus, a lot of the crew who worked on the show is Christian, so there's at least some understanding of the need to be respectful there. I would love to hear about the crew that is Christian. That intrigues me. I don't know. I feel like sometimes it can be both things. I don't disagree that I think this is an allegory for humanity, but I do think the church is guilty of the crimes of some of the things mentioned in HAZBIN Hotel. I think we have done a lot of judgmentalism. I think we have done a lot of condemning people to hell. And whether that was Viv's necessarily intent or not, or whether it's a stated intent from an interview or anything like that, I still think we can be convicted. I don't think think about all these nerdy sermons that I make. I don't think that all of these creators have said oh, this is reminiscent of this time in the gospel. No, I doubt it. But nevertheless, we're able to draw things out of media. And that's just a belief of mine that creation itself is an echo of the Creator God, and we are able to draw things out of creation. As this is a creative work, even beyond the artist intent, we are able to see some notes and some things that we might be able to pick up as the church. Whether the Creator is pinning it to the church or not, that doesn't mean that we can't explore it from an avenue of how should the church feel about this kind of thing. And even more than the church itself, what I hope I was able to pick up on through this video is the people that are representative of the church reacting to this content. That was something that I wanted to make sure that was brought out through this. And the same with so many of our things that we have talked about, in which I talk about the role of the church. We literally just did one on X-Men 97, right? Like, there are so many times where the church is, or the representatives of the church are bad actors. And that's kind of what I wanted to make sure I was calling out. Marokra says, as someone who used to be a Christian and has been pretty traumatized by my experiences with the religion, thank you for this. It's extremely refreshing to see a Christian with some actual media literacy instead of condemning the show. That's been a hot button word for the past month, is this media literacy thing. And I totally agree. We need to talk more about that. There's been this like dumbing down of culture where we insist on like naming characters as like, this is the evil character and I'm evil because I do this thing. Whereas characters are more nuanced than that. They're more interesting than that. Media is more interesting than that. But I do agree. I think we should be fully willing to explore and learn about media, and we need to be literate with it. I would use the word discernment. I think that we can all afford to be more discerning of the media that we're wrestling with. I will continue to encourage us to watch things that we are uncomfortable with, as long as it is within a realm of safety, as long as it doesn't harm our mental health, or it doesn't harm us physically to watch this thing. I think discomfort is nice. Discomfort is healthy. Discomfort is something that we should be wrestling with and exploring so that we can know what we do like, what we don't like, why we don't like it, what that says about us, and how we can still learn from it. Alexi says, now that's a God I'd welcome into my life. I've never seen a religious video before where I agreed with every single moral point doing the God's work, and that is beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for saying so. That is my favorite comment to get. Roses and Mushrooms says, now I'm not Christian, but you explains things in such a way that someone like me who doesn't believe and probably will never believe could understand why you believe in what you do. I think that's a healthy way of looking at this thing as well. A lot of what I see from the perspective of Checkpoint and from the perspective of reaching nerds is for the purpose of helping people that are like on the cusp of faith or that are curious about faith. I had not really considered the aspect of people that are not Christians and will, self-proclaim they would never be Christians, being able to understand the Christian perspective more. That wasn't something that was ever really an intention, and that's kind of a side effect. And I love that. So glad. I am so glad we got to this next comment. Okay, listen. Listen to me. Listen. In the video, in this nerdy sermon, I mention that they move the extermination of the denizens of hell up because Charlie asks about the HAZBIN Hotel thing. That didn't happen, okay? It didn't happen in the show. It didn't happen. I'm so sorry that I said that. I didn't mean to say that. I still think that the narrative feels a little dog whistly. I gotta call it out that I think it's just a little weird that we all kind of just went with this understanding that Adam moved it up because of the body of a murdered angel. It's just a little too convenient that this bloodlusty Adam who wants to kill more demons just happens to move things up because an angel just happened to get murdered, because things just happened to go sideways. I'm just saying that it feels a little conspiratorial. And I'm not normally a conspiracy theorist, but I think that there's a weird way of all these comments that are defending the moving up of the extermination. Okay, I need to make good and acknowledge that, yes, that is indeed what they say sort of in the show. That is very much something that they say. But again, I still think that it was weird timing, okay? It was weird timing, and I wouldn't be surprised if in season 2 we learned some secret that I don't know, the angel that was murdered shows up or something and is like, I wasn't actually murdered and I never was, and it was all a big coup. I'm just saying it feels weird. It feels weird to be defensive of Adam. So I will admit my fault there. But I do still think that the reason that it didn't stick in my head that the murdering of the angel was the inciting factor was because I don't think it was the inciting factor. I think it may have been the lighter that lit the firework, but the firework was built already. 1,320 comments. I bet you 200 of them say this exact sentence. And then I posted it on TikTok and another 100 all said the same thing. So okay, I get it. I wish that I could combine all of your comments into one big comment and pin it at the top and be like, I know, stop saying it. Wilson O'Brien says, as a devout Roman Catholic who delved into theology and Christian mythology, I absolutely love HAZBIN Hotel, especially angel dust due to, I think again there, psychological trauma, which inspired me to have more humility and compassion towards others who are in the same situation. And Charlie's goal to rehab the sinners on a path to redemption is such a noble cause. I appreciate that. I wish more people could acknowledge the nobility of the situation, because I feel like a lot of people are just like, it's not possible. And that's not what it says in my Bible. And like, neither does it say anything about Charlie Morningstar, okay? And so I appreciate the perspective there of like the characters, regardless of any canonicity or relationship to Christian culture, is they are still interesting and fun to look at and to break down. Speaking of, I'm working on Milgram season 2. So Milgram, talk about fascinating characters. That's why I love it so much, even though it's literally about judging people. It's the whole point of the music videos. It's about being judgmental. And I love it, right? It's so good. Toby says, Dante's Inferno was controversial too. Yes, I may or may not have made a snide comment the other day about Dante's Inferno. I think we had to be so incredibly careful about how we let Christian fiction twist our mind into how we understand heaven, hell, and our relationship with the afterlife. And of course, for those of you that don't know, Dante's Inferno is a subtweet. The whole thing is he's mad. He's mad, he's bitter. He's a grumpy fella, and he's writing out his hit list, right, of all the people that he's not fond of. And so if you've not taken the time to actually like really read through the history of Dante's Inferno, then you don't get all those aspects. We need to discern Christian fiction just as much as we need to discern all the other stuff. Mikey says, for a raunchy animated comedy and musical show, this has to be one of the least horrifying versions of hell in any fictional setting, given that it's more like a continuation of your mortal life, but with difficulty cranked up higher. If you take extermination out of the equation, you practically have an infinite amount of time to work out your problems, along with the reasons you're there. I love that sentiment. I love it. I think that it's a really fun twist on, I saw some other comments that talked about how it was more like purgatory than hell, which of course is, again, not something we necessarily ascribe to. So take it or leave it. Your mileage may vary with that one as far as how far you might take that understanding of the afterlife. But yeah, it's a really fun understanding of the things that we work through and that we think through. And hey, another Methodist thing, the way of salvation is very much this kind of understanding. The way of salvation, we very much understand the kingdom of heaven as to be a now and a not yet situation. We are very much in the place of building the kingdom of heaven here on earth while also striving for it. And so in our understanding of how salvation works, how our process of being redeemed and made more holy works, is that we don't just end at our understanding of Jesus, at our baptism, at our justification, but then we have a whole life ahead of us of sanctification that is ideally headed towards perfection. And as we learned at our DLC on Methodism not too long ago, there's even more than that. But at a bare minimum, we have this long process that we have going towards the coming kingdom of heaven. That is both here and not yet here. Coalent says, it is greatly appreciated that you point out the inaccuracies of the show, but I also love that we can take a serious look at what the show is trying for. Redemption is openly the goal of the hotel, but it is placed in hell. I think it can be theologically sound if we think of heaven and hell in the show as representative of the church and secular society, respectively. I agree with this. However, I will say that there was a argument against it in an earlier comment, and this is where I kind of say it can be both. It can be all of these things. Whether this is VisiPop's intention for the show or not, there is no reason that we can't still wrestle and embrace this comprehension. And again, if you want to change the words around, you can change the words around. It doesn't have to be church. It can be representatives of the church. I agree. I think it's a creative way of looking at this. Eager Cadet says, one of my favorite anime is Fullmetal Alchemist. Same, because it was a story that tackled how anyone can twist any ideology to suit their own ends. The first episode focused on religion, but after that focuses on science and how there were people willing to commit any crime for the sake of knowledge, resulting in pain and suffering. Different creeds, same result. There are ideologies out there that are poisonous, and I will admit, but because others are worse, doesn't hide the wrong in ours. Anyone can pick up a kitchen knife and use it either to slice bread or to commit a murder. It all depends on who is in the driver's seat. That's a great reading. I think that there's more to be said of Fullmetal Alchemist and the claim for empathy and for the reality of sacrifice not being a be-all, end-all. I actually think that Fullmetal Alchemist, the whole argument of that show is kind of a Wesleyan way of salvation, where Ed and Al are obsessed with justification, and they refuse to acknowledge that sanctification is the way that we are actually formed. Freddie Times 3141 says, I'm a huge HAZBIN Hotel fan, but I'm also a Christian who is trying to repair his relationship with God, and this video meant a lot to me. I really appreciate your channel and how you offer a welcoming environment in your channel. It really has inspired me to how I should view my channel as well as my life as a welcoming space to those. Thank you. That's another dream that I could have for this channel. Of course, I would love for you to join our Discord and learn more about how we're doing the behind the scenes work of actually building community beyond our YouTube channel. But I think that's exceptional to imagine that of these 170 some odd views that we might somehow be able to impact the content being created by others. That's amazing. So Freddie Times, if you watch this video and you actually are doing the work of changing how you present your channel to be a more welcoming space, please let me know how that's going and if I can help in any way, shape, or form. Ghost of Silence says, as a former Christian turned Satanist turned pagan, it's refreshing to see Christians who are welcoming and non-judgmental, especially in this day and age. Had I been around people like you when I was younger, I likely would have never left the faith. You give me hope. This is one of the most important comments on here. I thought about pinning it as well. This is for the church. This is for my church people out there. If you are a leader of a church, if you are involved in a church, I want you to hear this message again, especially the last two sentences. Had I been around people like you when I was younger, I likely would never have left the faith. You give me hope. Holy smokes. Can we talk about that? Because what a powerful sentiment, what a powerful statement. You want to talk about reaching the nuns and the duns and turning the church around, reaching new people, making new disciples. Hey, we might not even need to do the deconstructing work if we would do it right the first time. And if we would be in the life of people, if we would actually be around people when they are younger and shape them in a way, have these tough conversations, wrestle with these things, be real with them, tackle these things with them, that is incredible. And I hope that you're sharing this around your communities and with your young people who are, let's be real, watching HAZBIN Hotel behind your back. Let's talk about it and be real about it instead of just sweep things under the rug and refuse to talk about it. This person, I don't know them. I don't know their story. I don't know what they meant by had I been around people like you when I was younger, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they probably didn't have a relationship with a leader in the church at all. I think they had somebody talking at them. And that is one of our biggest problems in the church, is that too many people are talking at. Too many people are talking at people instead of actually building relationships with people. And the truth of the matter is that I don't have all the right answers. I am not a perfect person in any way, shape, or form. I am just as flawed. I too can forget that Adam says that he did this because of the angel that was murdered, right? Sometimes I say things wrong. Sometimes I say the kingdom of Kevin. But you know what? I'm trying my best to get to know people because relationship is the way that we form people into disciples. And so if our goal as United Methodist Church is to make disciples of Jesus Christ, then we've got to be better about getting to know people. And that is probably what would have made the difference. A Rockhopper 3 says, as a Christian in a more spiritual way rather than a religious way, the first thing I thought about HAZBIN Hotel was that as a story about redemption of those who are damned, I would have figured the show would appeal to a religion that's all about redeeming sinners. Exactly. Adam and Lute are most definitely dead ringers of the type of Christians who look down on anyone who isn't them. Adam's rant that all human souls should be worshiping him, I think, draws parallels to many evangelicals who demand that they be worshiped for bringing us salvation. Yes, I could say a lot. I could say a lot about megachurch pastors, especially the real megachurch pastors above the megachurch pastors. There's a lot to be said here, but yes, I do think you're drawing some great comparisons there and some really interesting things to be said. The truth of the matter is the way that they've gotten their power is by deceit and is by lies of omission and is by violence. I think that's important for us to remember, is that they're telling a story there that the people who have power in heaven, in their version of heaven, which could be our version of church or whatever you want to do, the way that they came to power is by lying, is by not saying everything and revealing the whole truth, and also with violence. Blindier says, 2 things made the show worth watching, in my opinion. First, in the last episode of the season, we get a sign there's a higher source of objective morality. And in episode 4, we get the song You're a Loser. Hey, thank you. In addition to Keith David being able to sing and fully deserving of the capital S, it's an example of an attitude I think is tragically absent in the approach to redemption. The song doesn't sugarcoat things. It calls out Angel Dust for being a loser and addict, and then tells him that there is a way out of life and hope for the future. Yeah. A cool perspective, a really cool song that does do some interesting things. I think the shock value of it is half of the fun, but there is a real raw honesty in the thing that is interesting and I feel like isn't talked about near enough. If I was to do a nerdy sermon on husk and angel dust, then I would talk about the concept of how we actually go with people that are in the pit. And that instead of trying to get people out of the pit, we get down in the water with them. We get down in the mess with them. That is the way that we actually make a difference in people's lives. And so that is an important mental health thing. That is an important thing for us to remember and to recall. Mr. Rivers says, Christianity, take note. This is how you get more people on board with your religion, not shouting hate, spewing venom, or using your religion as a weapon to hurt others, but by talking about the love and the good bits. First time here, but I can see the passion. This man loves his God and his faith, and that is much more endearing than the vast majority of people talking about their religion. And I love you. I love you, Mr. Rivers. I love the people out there that have been hurt by the church, and I love the people that love things like this because I believe that you matter and that you are a person of sacred worth, and that's why we say the things. And so I'm not just doing this because I love God and because I love my faith, because I believe I'm called to this space to let you know that you are also loved. Love that. Thank you for the kindness. Whether you're the radio demon himself, that's from my ending. So for those of you that have never watched this nerdy sermon before, I always end them with 3 things. I say, so whether you're an A, whether you're a B, or whether you're a C, whether you're actual hellspawn, the radio demon themselves, or just a lover of show tunes, know that you're always welcome here at Checkpoint Church. And I chose the radio demon for one of those. So that was fun. Short Storm, as an ex-Catholic and potential agnostic, this video was incredibly healing to watch. You took so many words right out of my mouth and put so many more into my mind, and I wholeheartedly thank you for that. Show means the world to me, so seeing a pastor enjoy it means the world and relieves me of a fair bit of guilt for watching it. I don't have the best relationship with religion, unfortunately. I cannot thank you enough for that. This whole video had me tearing up multiple times, in good ways, don't worry. It was so well put together. Hey, Niki, you're awesome. I know I've said it a lot already, but sincerely from the bottom of my heart, thank you for making this video. You've earned this agnostic man's subscription. That's a good one, Buddha. I hope the show gets canonized eventually. You know what? Me too. Me too. The last one that I want to talk about, it's towards the very bottom. I already looked it up earlier because I wanted to make sure I got to it because I saw it in my comments the other day. There's going to be a lot of bad ones down here because we're getting towards the not so great bits, the ones that didn't get any likes because they were being mean. But I wanted to talk about this one. Estilla Vatico something. Thank you for allowing me to hate God. I appreciate that greatly. I think they're being rude. I think they're making a snide comment, but you know what? I'm going to tell you that I say that on purpose. I end all of our videos the same way. And I say that I'm going to end this with our 3 things that we would be true about every single one of you, whether you believe in God, don't believe in God. Hate God, hate church. Whether you hate God, I still believe God loves you, we love you, and that you matter. And so I'm not necessarily allowing you. I think, again, you're being a bit tongue-in-cheek. I could be wrong and reading this incorrectly. That happens all the time. But yes, absolutely. I do think that it is okay that you hate God and you are here because God loves you, we love you, you matter. And so I don't want my words to be manipulated there, but I don't know if I'm allowing you to hate God, but I think you do hate God, and that does not exclude you from God's love, nor from our love, nor from mattering. And I'm glad you're here. And I truly mean that. And if I didn't mean it for this person, then why am I saying it at all? Right? If I didn't mean it for this one, then why am I saying it at all? I truly mean it. And that is a true belief that I have from the bottom of my heart. Folks, thank you so much for watching this one. I know it is so much different than what we normally do, but I hope that you enjoyed it nonetheless and enjoyed hearing more about Checkpoint Church, the things that we do, the ways that we think about things, the comments that we had to answer, and at the very least, we got to talk about HAZBIN Hotel more, and I'm here for that. If you want more of Checkpoint Church, we stream over on twitch.tv/Checkpoint Church every other Sunday, every Tuesday, and Friday. We would love to get to know you better there. Or if you want more right here, right now, then go find us on Discord, discord.gg/Checkpoint Church. I'm also going to link both of those down below. Hey, if you believe in our mission to serve nerds, geeks, and gamers, then consider using our Give to CPC link in the description. Or if you consider Checkpoint your church, consider setting up a tithe there too. Since we do not have a nerdy sermon this week, we will not be having our usual Bible study curriculum, but we do have a Bible study curriculum site called JesusLovesNerds.com. We did just release our free one on our old video of Slay the Princess. So if you want to find out more and bring those conversations to your Bible study, your youth group, your small group, your young adult group, whatever, feel free to use that site. Folks, if you liked this one, be sure to let me know by giving me a thumbs up. Maybe we'll do more of these if we get lots of thumbs ups, because I certainly enjoyed it, and I hope that you did as well. Folks, with that, we're going to end this one as we always do with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there. Whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God, or hate church, or if you're just here for HAZBIN Hotel, we still believe these 3 things to be true about every single one of you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. That's what we're doing here. Number 3, really that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, until the next time that I see you. Bye-bye. The way of salvation is very much this kind of understanding, that we do understand that the kingdom of Kevin, cut that out, Niki, take it out of here. Okay, let's get back into it. The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of heaven, I'm talking about something important here. Don't clip it. This is an important point.